Stefan studied at the National School of Paris.
Yeah.
And he is represented by Aline Vidal Gallery in Paris. He works a lot in natural materials and works a lot with doing simple gestures, and you will see that in his presentation today. So we're pleased to have Stéphane. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very
Looking
much.
forward to hearing you.
Okay, so yeah, as Camille told you, so let me introduce myself a little bit. I come from the countryside, you know, I grew up there, and I went to the city when I was 20 something. It's quite important to say that because my work is a lot of related to raw materials. So maybe it comes from this experience of childhood. And even if it's related with raw materials, it can be related also with childhood actually. I try to learn how to keep, you know, the raw emotional relation to the world that we can have when we are a child. I think it's one of the job of the artist, you know, to keep this. So, in my work, I don't do like a representation of things. I never had this thought. I never feel like that. I like to play with real things, moving them, and try to find the poetry that surround me. Try to find the political thing that's around me in what I can find, and I would spend more time to observe and understand an already done shape than making a shape. I tell that, but sometimes I make shapes too. For example, a rule has to be broken. So, but most of my work is about gesture. Actually, it's moving thing and connecting things together. So I will maybe start with one piece that make me, you know, on the European contemporary art scene. So it was in a house. Yeah, some of them saw it. It was in a house. So I built it with a friend. Actually, I had a small grant to do that because I didn't have money to start, and I applied for a grant, and I succeeded. So I could work and I could build that. So it was. I hope it's gonna work because. Do I have Wi-Fi? Oh. Doesn't seems to work.
If not, you can connect back to mine.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. What is? Sorry about that. You cannot. What is your what?
Cheese again.
Don't see it.
Or does it work with ELCC like Wi-Fi, that one?
We'll try again. Okay, let me check. I can maybe find somewhere else. It should work. I mean, I hope it's the right thing.
Mine should be visible now.
Technology. The reason why I like to work with wood and stones. Yeah, it works like that. We can. Sorry about the sound. So it was as I said. Oh, the sound is really. As I said, I don't really sculpt things, even if I'm a sculptor. But I move things around and together. So it's a simple gesture. I just, pull the rain inside the house, actually. So it's what I call a simple gesture. It's just move something. And then it tells a lot with a simple gesture. It's something that, it's about poetry, but it's also about something that is destroying inside by itself. So I like to play in the frontier with what can be beautiful and dark also, because this is the reality of our world. I like to play with tension and danger, because, yeah, you can see electricity in the water. Actually, it's not dangerous, but it feels not safe, even if it's not dangerous. I like when there is a tension. And so there is it was my first, maybe, not my first, but on the art scene, it was the first piece I made that, like, make the people know my work. So as you see, I work with the reality, the scale of reality. I don't reduce, I don't enlarge. I play with the real things. So it can be really small, but it can be big. It depends on what I'm working with. For example, when I made this sculpture, which is a boat with the same wood from the floor. So it's a floated boat, sinking boat. But I wanted to do something. Actually, it's like a portrait in a way. It's somebody with a stick in its own. There is something like that. It's impossible travel. It speaks about traveling, but it stays, it remains. It's something. It's a silent piece, actually, not moving piece. So this is the scale of a boat, also. So I've done it in few different places, and I wanted this floor not finished, like the waves on the beach, on the shore. So it's. When I say that I move things to, let's speak the world, this is an example too. I took some stones from ruined house, and for me it was really like precious things, because it was like a story in each stone. Somebody took the stones from the ground, carved it, sculpted it, to make it right, to build a house. So it's like a library of knowledge, So it was simple just to store like books, as precious as book, as knowledge, actually. So it looks simple, but it was difficult to make, because you can imagine the weight of it. So it's not possible. So I need to make some metal things in it, and build it like a real wall. I mean, this weight cannot stand, so I had to put some of the stone there. So there is a logical way to build it. Otherwise everything would fall down. So now, for example, a museum bought me this piece. So every stone has a number with a map of it, you know, because they have to store it and redo it in the show. So, I mean, when you will have your work later, you will see it's important to have like good instructions, like really precise. When you work with protocols, for example, because some of work can be like a sculpture, you take it and you put it on the show, but sometimes no, they have to redo it when it comes from protocols. So it's important to keep a process and the precision of making it. Yeah, just to show you that I was lying, sometimes I represent things. I've made, it was old work too. It was a pool table, you know, pool table, and there was this book about a fake mountain that doesn't exist, but Le Mont Analogue from René Daumal. It was really important book for me, and it was imagining a mountain and make an exhibition to go to visit and hike this mountain, even if it doesn't exist. So I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. This is about art. I mean, we don't know if it exists, but we go, and we found something. So, and you know, the pool table is like a really hard exercise to make it, like to have like this flat thing. So it was good for me to play with it and make mountains grow up from it. It was actually a hard work to do, and a lot of different steps. I was not sure I could have it and make it, but yeah, you know, I was invited in an art center, so I could have the help of the people to try to have solution. It was for an exhibition actually, so I couldn't have done by myself because it was really technically difficult to have this result, like a real one. Yeah.
Stéphane?
What?
What was the material that you used for the green?
Okay, we call it flocage. So you spray textiles with electricity on the piece. You know, there is glue. Okay, you project like this, but it's not. It's done in a cage, special cage, and with the electricity, the textile doesn't stick like horizontally, but like that. So it's a real carpet. You know, so I ask a company, for example, for the money, sometimes it can be really expensive. So what I do, I speak, I meet people, and for example, they could do it for me like really less expensive, and they ask me to use my image for the company. And I say, okay, it's a good deal. Actually, you can make my piece and you can use for your advertising with my name. But it was an exchange. I mean, I had to pay, but not as much. So you have to find solutions like that, and sometimes people are really interested actually, because it can make also, you know, for industry or something, really to show their capacities, you know, because sometimes they do things people don't think about, you know, but you make art with it, and wow, it rings a bell.
About this house, as I can see, it's raining on it.
Yes.
But I don't see the water in the side. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, it's here is a swimming pool inside, under the floor. Okay, and this is a fountain, so the water with a pump, and the water will come up, and then fall down, and it's a cycle.
That's it.
It's a cycle. Yeah. Yeah. So you have to feel it, and after it's a cycle. It's fountain actually. It's simple fountain. Yeah, yeah, it's a simple fountain, but actually it's hard to make. It was a long time because, for example, you cannot see it here, but on the ceiling, up the ceiling, there is, I don't know how many, maybe 100 tubes, you know, with holes in it. Yeah, and you know, rain is hard to make because it's easy to make a shower, you know, but shower is straight line, you know, but if you want rain, it's random. This is difficult to do. So I was helped with the wood, you know, the capillarity of the wood. The water goes in the wood and move, and so fall in different, I mean, like that. Because otherwise it would be like a shower and I wouldn't like it. Yeah, even if I like simple things, I mean simple ID project, it's important for me to be really precise when I do it. And yeah, so you see it's random. But it takes, I don't know, even a day to setting up, you know, the rain. It's maybe the most difficult part because you have to be precise and okay. So yeah, about cycling, it's really important. I don't know why, and I won't lie to you. I don't know why, but I still drawing cycles. You know, it's something in my mind. Maybe about drawing again and again, and it's the same drawing. But as a sculptor, I wouldn't draw with a paper and pencil. It's not my. I try sometime, but it was not good actually. So I took my tools, and so I've made few cycles. One was I hooked a boat, okay, upside down, and it turned slowly on. And how do you call this part? The pool, yeah. So draw a cycle like a line, but really slowly, and it's a long process. In the I can try to the video. Maybe it's gonna come. Yeah. So for this piece, I found a old boat, and most of the work was to restore it a little bit, and work the sand, because it's important that the way I work the sand. Actually, I don't work with tools. I work with a blower, so I don't touch the sand. It's only sculpted by wind. Yeah, I don't want any human trace on the sand, so it's like this. So when it stopped turning with the movement, there is like a dance, and then it writes. So I wanted to look for a paradox between this big boat and, you know, like something really thin and light. The result is like a pen, actually, like calligraphy. But yeah, so this is my way of drawing. So it was a simple drawing, but kind of complex to make it happen.
Question, does it continue right across the entire width of the space? Or it just sits within a particular...
Usually, because I'm related, you know, with the traditional landscape painting, and I like when people is a bit outside of the landscape, a bit outside of the piece. So each time I think, where is the people? Is it inside or outside? And so I have made this to put the landscape in it, but you can walk only outside. You know, so there is a distance. It's the same things I've done in a monastery, old monastery. So this piece is called Un peu plus loin. It's a little further. So it's the same way. You know, there is a way to walk around, but the piece is inside. I mean, this is all the piece, but I like to think where is the people. So it was my first traditional modeling clay sculpture because I work with clay. My first clay piece. So it was a flat ground. And when it was still wet, I've put in those stones with ropes and pull them. And then I asked for the monastery if I could have the place free for a month and a half before the show, because they were closed. So I could wait to the clay dry and then go there with socks and take off the ropes. But it was like drawing. It was a drawing, but it's lines, you know, on the ground, carving, drawing, I don't know. But it was a real movement, and it scratched the ground. And then it was dry for the show. But again, even if it was a long work, you know, really like, I don't remember, even 2, 3, maybe 3 works working on this piece, you know, 3 weeks maybe. But the intention was simple. It was to make lines with stone, you know, nothing much complicated. Then after it tells more, after it's done. Back to the cycles. It was in Taiwan. I was invited for the Taipei Biennial. So I wanted again to draw a cycle. And you know, in Asia, there is this traditional calligraphic thing that is so beautiful. They write, you know, with a brush in water, and they write poetry that disappear, you know, that is so beautiful. So I wanted to work a bit like that, a cycle, but that is not complete, you know what I mean. So I used water and, so the video has to load. Water, do you know duckweed? Duckweed it's a plant on the surface of the water. You know, some of ponds have that. You know, where I come from, it was often like this. The surface of the water is full of duckweed. And this plant, when you put your finger in it, then it makes it let the water appears, and then it come back. You know, it's open and closed. So I wanted to work with that. So I made a pond in the museum. Suspense. Ah, doesn't work. Can do it by hand. Huh? Yeah, I don't know.
Try it back onto the internet. Cheese. No, the view was never open.
So first, yeah, you can see. You cannot really see. It's better on my screen, but actually, it makes almost a cycle. You know, maybe a half cycle each time. But when you wait, it's a cycle. So it works like a brush. And I wanted to do with electricity because you don't put electricity in water usually. So I like to do what you can do, and that makes this tension. It's important for me to have the public on attention. You know, then you're more, focus. When you're too comfortable, you miss some focus. It's like in front of a TV. So for me, it's important to not being too comfortable. I don't know. It doesn't work anyway. I have other cycles. Yeah, my last one, because I stopped doing cycles for the moment, yeah, was with a motorbike. So I work with a motorcycle club, and it was hard to find somebody who can, do motorcycle without having his feet on the ground, for a long time, till it draws. So I work with but the performance was not public. I didn't want as a show. It was a tool. Not the guy, the motorcycle. But it was like, I didn't want make a spectacle of it, or, the result was the drawing actually. And the sculpting, because I made this dune. And it was, how do you call it? Lime. It was a lime dune. I mean, not all lime, but the surface of it was lime.
Is the same?
Mm-hmm.
Is the same the right thing?
Lime.
Lacho.
Ouais.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
I'm wondering how much of your ability to convince an institution, let's say, to a piece of work like this, how much of it do you think might be cultural as opposed to aesthetic? For instance, I'm thinking about any institution in Jamaica that you want to explain an idea like this to, and it would be, I can tell you off the bat, it's almost an imagine going to a church or a monastery and say, oh, I want to set down clay.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how I do it.
How much of your ability is cultural.
Yeah.
Of course, the ideas are
Yeah.
great.
You Usually, they only invite me one time. but you know, they know my work.
Yeah.
So they know it can be a bit complicated.
I'm sure you appreciate it. I mean, sometimes culture goes a far way in giving an artist room to.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, just depends on how receptive this or that culture is to particular ideas of art.
No, but you're right. It's a real question, and I would say it was maybe simpler before, and now I can feel that a lot of people are scared a little bit to do new things and to try, and maybe 20 years ago it was easier, I think. But this piece is, for example, 2-3 years ago, something. So it was still possible. But when I said, okay, I will bring a motorcycle club in the and we're gonna make a big dune and a real motorcycle, with the sound and everything. And so we have, but I never ask for something impossible. I mean, it can look difficult, but if we are well organized and we do things correctly, it's possible, and it's not a big deal actually. The big deal is materials, the human, the team, for example, and the money. So it's important for me if I now with my because I'm 48, so I've done some shows, so I can find now a little bit of help of production to do my work. As a filmmaker, I can find some money, but I can find some money sometimes. But it's important now for me to keep my freedom and make art without anything, by myself, alone, without any money. This is important, and I keep that. So I can show simple things I do in my studios, for example. I live, I told you I'm coming from the countryside, and I still have a house there. So each winter I cut my wood because it's cold there. So, and I was really, there is something I like, the relation with the log and the axe. It means a lot about the work, about the trees, and actually it's the same thing. It's made from wood, this is wood, there is a relation. So I wanted to create a simple relationship between two things. One is a tool, the other is a material, and how can it be connected? One of my last pieces was this one. I'm really into the question of wood. And this piece is made from a cutted tree in the winter. So you can see it has no roots anymore. It was fall down.
So it's suspended.
So I've made a construction with wood to make it stand. And I wanted to do it with wood because I wanted a lot of wood to make one tree stand up. It's a story about it, a lot of wood to make one stand up. So it was about that. So I like those connections. For example, there was another older piece. This one, for example, there was the same relation. Those pieces of wood comes from the rune. You've seen the stones with the bookshelf stone, and it comes from the same house actually. It's a wooden frame, and it's maybe outside. But, yeah, it was good wood. And I wanted younger wood to make them still together again, you know. So I worked the young wood as I could do with a rope, you know. So, but yeah, actually it's wood, and it's like, but it was the same relation between, you know, old wood and new wood. Yeah. I don't know. Friend in English. Yeah, in the monastery I can show you also, because it was a whole show. I had maybe 3 or 4 installations in this monastery. And I've made a dormitory there. Yeah, I love plants. I mean, I was the plants and the story of the plants, the legend about it. And I found this plant, le gâtillier, the monk pepper. So this is the monk pepper, and I've read that the monks used to grow this plant because it was calming down their libido. You know, to have to be sexually calm in the monastery. So they used this plant. So they made some things to drink, and but what really was crazy for me, they used to put seeds of it in their mattress. And I went, wow. So I wanted to make them grow, you know. Like about, making something about fertility and life. So I've done this installation. For example, pieces sometimes I do in my studio, like simple gesture. For example, those shirts, I wanted to take off the maximum of a chair, but it still remain a chair, but at the frontier, you know, so it's like really, really breakable, almost like matches, you know. And for example, this piece, this one is almost transparent, you know, so it's really breakable. And we talked about this piece another day, and I told that I had to make a special box, you know, to transport it. I mean, now it's in a private collection, and they don't even want to lend it because it has to stand, you know, it's really breakable. But I like to fragilize also the thing we have around us, to fragilize a little bit our certitude. How do you say certitude? Conviction.
Conviction, right?
Yeah, fragilize our conviction, maybe. So it was a way to do it. I don't know. Would you have questions, or maybe we can talk a little bit? Yeah, and sometimes I fish stones too.
I find a lot of your work use very fundamental elements, juxtaposed.
Yeah, you're right.
With each other.
Right.
And sometimes it's as if you depend on each thing's its own meaning put together to create a new meaning.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah, you're right.
1 + 1?
Equal 3.
So it's a kind
Yeah, this is art. It's the foundation of art.
So your audiences, when you make these works, what's the response of the audience? Who are the people who see the work? What is the response?
Tons of, you mean of,
Who see your work? Who sees your work when you make
yeah.
these installations? For instance, the monastery, there is access, I imagine there will be access to it for the peers. And what has the response been to the work?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's a good question because you know I'm not coming from the art world. I'm not coming from the art scene, and even if I'm lucky to show my work on the art scene, I don't want to speak to only to the art scene. You know, it's not my, you know, I want to speak. I mean, not everybody, but people who can feel it, and it's not only in the art scene. So. I'm quite happy because I have a luck. My work is respected from the art scene, European, Occidental art scene, I can say, you know, because I didn't do more, you know, in Africa or what's more in Europe and a bit of Asia, okay. And my public is kind of both. It's from art, but it's also the large public, you know. And when you do things in the street, or in, for example, a city invited me 3 years ago, and it was so I could make a kind of big installation because it was money from the city. So they have money, you know. I mean, more than an art center or you know. And they told me, Stéphane, you can do something in the scale of the city. So yeah, don't tell me that. But so I found the opera of Nantes, which is a city on the west coast of France, and I've done another fountain. So it's to answer you, it was in the city. It was not in the art center, so it was for everybody. It was a public work. So it's important for me to have this connection between the art scene and the large public. And as you can see, I'm not often in a white cube. Sometimes, but not often actually. I'm more in real life. It's better for me. So it was old, not old, I don't know, it's 3 years ago, something, 4 years. I'm really bad with dates, and, I mean time and everything. But it doesn't work. Actually, yeah, I transformed the opera, and yeah, it was during the COVID. So it was possible, and because it was outside, if it would be a show inside, it won't be possible. And all the theater in France and in Europe were closed. So it was like so sad. And this piece I was happy because even if I didn't draw it for that, during the COVID, everybody was watching at the theater. So the theater itself became something to watch, you know, even if there were no shows in it. But I don't know. I'm going to show you by pictures.
Maybe it's not the cheat. Check the internet is cheat.
Oh, maybe if I go directly on internet. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm going back to EMC students. Talk. Yeah, Google. Yeah, so maybe we can, oh, can I, it doesn't fit my screen. So it was a fountain too, the same cycling water, actually, than the house. Okay. You will imagine. But yeah, it's hard to see only still big images because it's about something powerful, energy. It was even, you know, windy and yeah, but whatever. I'm gonna show my last piece. Maybe it works because we download. Yes. So yeah, so I've made also another fall, but then it was a sand fall. Yeah, it came really with, and the doors were open to let the people come, even the people not from the museum or the art scene. So yeah, it was a piece about time, about you know, our falling down world, our dry world. So it was a dry fall. And I use the same techniques to sculpt the wind. As I said, I sculpt it with a blower. So you were right. For example, when you sculpt sand with a blower and you tell that to the museum, you have to really to trust on your work. Yeah. Because it's a storm, you know, inside. Yeah, so that was my last piece. It was this summer.
What's the actual space that is occupied? Is this
I don't know because I don't even have the square meters of this room because it's the larger room I never had. I was inside, invited inside. It's huge. It's something it was an old submarine garage. So it can put like an old German submarine in it, you know. So when I was invited, I was really happy, but I was really anxious. All this for me, it was quite a challenge, you know, and I wanted to do only one thing, one gesture. So it has to fit, you know, it's quite difficult, and so I didn't sleep well for a long time. But when it works, I was happy actually. I mean, so yeah, it was, I think it was a good project in the place, but first I was not confident. You know?
the project of say the last one you just showed, so the duration of that in the space, it rests there for about 2 months?
I think it's, because I would show it longer. It's so much work, you know, and research, and so 3 months and a half is short. But it was for during really 2 touristic period in the summer in France, so we would have like a lot of public, you know, a lot of, so they were happy about it. And in winter in this place there is nobody, so they wanted to focus on summertime. Yeah, so I don't want to bother you more with all my things, you know.
I don't think you're boring us. Looking at your work, there is that feeling of ephemeral, there's a quality of the space, like ephemeral quality.
Mm.
Suspended even. Like that tree, I had to look 3 times before I realized it was so aligned with the horizon that you would miss it. And it's interesting as a point to the work, of the things we miss,
Right.
pay attention to. But I think you asked a question in terms of who's your audience, because you did ask that question, yeah. And it's still, from piece to piece, the audience seems to change, for some, in my mind, in some ways. But there's that consistency of these monumental individuals in an enclosed space.
Right.
Trying to reconcile the two, the indoors with the outdoors.
Yeah. Yes, but about the audience, I don't know. You know, I didn't try to find an audience. Actually, I started to do my work. Some people invited me because they like it, and then it becomes an audience. So, but I don't. You know, I was not looking for. I wanted to show my work. I was sure since I was young. I wanted to be an artist like Young. And it was a real choice, you know, even a family break and everything, and do my work. It was something important for me. So each time I had a job, for example, I've put in all my money to do my work. I couldn't, first I couldn't have production and I wanted to work in real size, so it was difficult. So I went to work, you know, I have many jobs, and I could product my work. You know, but everything, my time, my money, my energy went to my, and then after, it came.
It's an important point you made about,
Sorry?
I think it is an important point you made about not, really not wanting to have, you also don't fit into this notion of this ecosystem, this art form ecosystem which wants you to, to fit into this cycle of collection and showing and so on. And I think your work is really impactful because to bring in ideas to the space.
Yeah.
Anyone can interact with it and can respond and be transformed because that's what I see with the transformation.
Yeah.
I think it's an important point to make here because we have a lot of talk in this whole spaces about the industry, our industry. And therefore when something like work as an industry, I don't think that's what art is about. Whatever form there will take. I don't think it's one, it's exactly what it is in the world. And how it is received and practiced.
Yeah, it's an important question for me how to belong or not to the art ecosystem, you know, and how to be a prisoner of the market or no, you know. And for example, I work with 2 galleries. Aline Vidal gallery, my old gallery, like 20 years ago, maybe more, to get working together. But she found me since I was graduate from the school, so we know each other a lot. And I have another gallery in Switzerland, Laurence Bernard. But you know, my galleries doesn't sell a lot of things from me. You know, they like to we like to work together, but I don't have a lot to sell. And this is, you know, I want to, yeah, I need to earn money. So, and some of my sculptures and drawings can be sold. But most of my work, I mean, maybe 70% of my work is not for sale. And I like this position. You know, it was, look at the land artists, you know, back to the 60s, 70s, you know, found a way, away from the market, you know, but we to eat right. So the negotiation between it and the reality. So we have to negotiate. But most of my work actually, yeah, it's hard to yeah, you cannot make a lot of money with this kind of work, you know, because it uses money to make it happen. You know what I mean? So it's a choice.
And sometimes you end up with this like a whole bunch of material at the end of the installation.
Right.
So it's like really trying to control all of these things as artists that you have a build up and then it draw. Everything has it might not have use at the moment, but eventually you'll find a purpose for it.
Right.
I agree with that.
And it's very interesting how you actually introduce these things that they were life-size persons and you gain their attention to the work, to how you actually orchestrate them in the space.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's probably more so for the benefit of students. So, you know, you're thinking about the work, and maybe I would maybe within a European context, it might be more seen as collectible, and you have work in private collections.
Yeah,
and
right.
collections. But when you just left art school, how did you carry on? Like, how did you continue to have market, and you know how you keep making an artist that keep making work as we have graduates now, kind of asking for benefit, how to continue.
I know and it's difficult actually. It's a hard way. I mean, I won't lie to you. The hard world is a hard way, hard choice, but it's possible. It's possible. You just, I mean, but you have to be really focused. Really, it has to be really important. It's not a job. It's something in you. You know, I mean, everything you have to put on it. I mean, when you're young, you have to build a foundation of it. So it was a bit special for me because so I was graduating in art school in Paris. My gallery asked me a collaboration, but I didn't call her back for 2 years maybe. So, you know, I was like, I wanted to discover the world. You know, I went from the countryside. You know, I didn't know much. So I wanted to travel, so I've done some jobs and to travel, and then 2 years after, I felt bad not showing my work. You know, I was like, I haven't tried any residencies or thing like that. You know, I was disconnected from the art world. I was living my life actually, but I felt bad about it. You know, I was still an artist, and an artist who, I mean, for me, not showing my work was sad. I couldn't really live this situation. Yeah, I think I don't do my work for myself. I do art to share with people. This is one of the foundation of my work. It's to yeah, share it, address it. Otherwise, it would be a hobby. It's different. So I went back to Paris. I found an atelier, and I started to reconnect with the art world, and actually it was the collective way that helped me to be back on the scene. I've made a group show. We didn't have any money for that group show, but I wanted to invite like artists I really like, but you know, nobody knows them, you know, but they are good artists, you know. So I invite them, and I mixed with other known artists, and I made a team, and I made 3 shows about that. And those shows were a success. And everybody after were, you know, followed by critics and everything. But I was like, okay, our art scene don't want to accept us. Okay, we're gonna make it happen. Okay, we're gonna just take our place with energy, poetry, concentration, you know, and rage. So it was all of that. But it was like a lot of work, yeah. But it for everybody of the team. So I say that because the collective way is the best after the school. Because have you seen all what we moved being together? We can do that together, you know. By myself I cannot, you cannot. But together we can do that. So the collective way is a really good start after the school. You can share space to have studio, you can share tools, you can share, I mean, everything. And then it makes it possible. Yeah, it was, yeah, maybe a real good start after the, I was involved in, I would say 3 different collectives.
Is there a relationship between culture? Is there a relationship between the objects that you work with and the space that you work with them within, and also in these different locations that you build these works? Do you use all the objects from that space, or you carry from different locations? And also, what do you do with the material of these installations?
Yeah, I always try to work locally. I mean, most locally possible. It depends on what I do. Most of the work is made locally. Most of the time, I don't use the space as a box to show my work, but the space is part of the materials of my work. You know what I mean? Sand and the space. You know, it's it's not a box to show my work. And for the materials, it depends what it means. For example, there is a piece I've made. Up. No, it's not my piece. This. I've made this piece in Tel Aviv, in Israel. Okay, those are crying stones. Okay, so
they're found within.
The water is, you know, coming from the stones, and touching a clay powder ground. Okay, so during the show, it cracks the ground, slowly. But the reason why I show you that, it's because the ground, you know, the conflict between Palestine and Israel. The stone comes from Palestine, and the ground is from the Jerusalem mountain. You know, so I try to work, but I choose a bit further, then it says something else. So it's important about the meaning of things. You know, not only a stone, it's more than a stone. Stone comes from a mountain. A mountain is a territory for people, animal, life. So it tells things. So I couldn't choose, you know, to be only local to be local. I need to have some meanings. It can be political meanings or poetical meanings, whatever, but it has to get some meaning.
And I noticed that you have two previous works with boats, and then by chance we found a boat for our installation. It's kind of interesting that in Caribbean boats and travel, they kind of have a very historical meaning, maybe connections to even slavery or the fishing industry or migration. But it's like you're here and you're doing this workshop, but you've also used boats in the past. So you're bringing a part of your context, I guess, into our.
Yeah, it was so. I mean, in a way, it was kind of a miracle for me, and at the same time, it was normal. You know, it's a. I mean, I trust in fate. You know, it works. Yeah, kind of. You know, I mean, if you look for it, you find some. You know, I mean, we just have to be aware of what's around us. You know, but if you push it, that tells you something. You know, sure. Okay. Thank you.